Hello boys and girls of the YouTube world, we're back. I'm going to catch you up on a little bit of Rambler project, and hopefully today we'll get to working on it some and do some cutting and some fitting, and maybe if I'm lucky I'll get the body sort of set down on this today. We'll see. A lot of cutting though. I've worked on it since my last video. I forgot to record. Terrible at that. 2 days of working on it, and I thought, oh, I should have recorded all that, and I didn't. So I'll show you what I got. Last time you saw the Rambler, it was parked on a trailer over in that area. I have since gotten it off of the trailer. It's now sitting here on jack stands. Got my crane set up. Hopefully I built that thing tall enough. I'm a little concerned about that. But let's see. I pulled the axle out from under it, all the front suspension, pulled the engine out, transmissions out, and I did some cutting on the inside. Boom! The floor is gone. I didn't have to do a whole lot of cutting because there was a lot of rust in this area and in this area. So basically I just cut down the seam on both sides. I'm going to try and make it so the original back seat stays. The seat bottom is in pretty decent shape. It's got one kind of big tear in it over here, I think. Over here, one of the two sides. But the floor in the pickup comes back to, I'd say, here-ish. So we'll figure out, like I said, when I get to that point to get it setting down, get the floors to meet up so I can attach those there. I've done a spider web. I don't know if you can see that. It's huge. I almost stuck my head in it. My head. I've done a little bit of measuring. I'm going to do some more today. Do some marking. And then I'm going to start cutting. So I know that's got to come out. That's got to come out. That's got to come out. Firewall. I think I'm going to just go up the seam here. And then up the seam here. To the bottom of this at least, and then cut straight across. Oh, gross, spiderweb. Cut as straight across as I can, all the way to this side, and then down and down. There's some rust there, but it's not bad rust. It's just surface rust. You know, there's no like real rot and nothing. We'll pretend we didn't see that. Anyway. Cut that out. Then this, I might have to cut up this first. My initial measuring, the frame rails on the unibody of the Rambler are actually almost the same, if not a little bit narrower than the frame rails on the Dakota. If that's the case, and if they're tall enough, whatever, when I can leave this whole inner support in there on both sides, and then just set it down with the engine in between and attach things as necessary. One thing I was measuring is the height of the dash right there, and the height of the top of the rocker panel right there, from, I want to say, this point right here to this very bottom right here is about like the top, if I measured from right here being the top of the dash, the top of the windshield, down to the very top of that rocker panel to the very bottom of this rocker panel. The top of that rocker panel is right here. So, and I believe this is wider than that. I'm going to verify that today and start taking notes so I don't have to remeasure it every single time. But I think this is just 1.5 inches wider, 3 inches total, 1.5 inches per side. So that'd put it right about here is where the very outside edge of that floor lands right here. So what I think I might do is cut across here, and then cut it back far enough that this sits over the top of that floor, and then attach it that way, because then there won't be a big huge. I've seen some people do swaps and the body is sitting kind of high and it looks kind of funny, and I don't really care for it. So I'm going to try to get this thing sitting down so it's down as far as it can go on here, so it looks a little more normal. But I think in my measuring, I think I'm going to have to cut this bump, everything that sticks out past this flat piece, right there, trim it down and just zip it off just to make sure, cut that off. And then I'll have to flatten this, cut that off right there. So, yeah. So, I'll get to measuring and see what I come up with, and I'll show you guys what I got. Okay, so I'll explain that again because the camera wasn't on. Got this all cut out. The wiper motor assembly was there. Got the firewall cut out. On this side, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to cut across this frame here for now, and then cut up here. And then as I cut, keep cutting up to here, and then across the bottom, and then up, and then across here and here. This hood hinge and assembly whatnot is connected here, but nothing back here. So I can cut straight across here. Actually, I can cut probably this down. I'll leave that little box. But cut this whole chunk out here. Same on this side. Cut across here and up, and then back through here and up, and cut this and trim that out. And then got to do a little, pull those out. And I think I may, once I get that done, then I might jump over to the Dakota and start trimming on that, and trim that down to where I need to get that done. But yeah, she's coming along. Slow, dirty, fun, not fun, it's fun. Slow, dirty, loud work. So nothing fancy, it's just tedious for now. So we'll keep at it. I'll show you guys in a minute. Boom! Just like that, it's trimmed. Did that look good? Did it look weird? Yeah. Well, as you can see, this escalated very quickly. As I was cutting and trimming underneath, I cut all this and cut all this, and then when I went to open the door on the passenger side, I noticed the door was binding. And I thought, well, that's funny. And then I grabbed the front of the car, and as I lifted up and down, I could see the fender. So what I ended up doing is it was like 2.5 more cuts. Because I already cut this over to here and I already cut a bunch of stuff up here. I basically had to cut this, which as you can tell was mostly rusted out already, and then cut this right here, and then same on this side that was rusted out halfway there, and then I had to cut that, and then we just one on that side and one on this side. We picked it up and carried it and set it down. So yeah, now I'm going to I might do a relief cut here in this brace and then bend this piece, because it's right here, it angles forward, it bends in right there. So I might cut a relief cut there, and then maybe I might have to cut one down here and then bend it so it is straight. Do that on both sides, because on the Dakota it's pretty straight on that section right there. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna do some measuring. I'll do some cleaning up and stuff and do some measuring, and I gotta trim that down now and see what I can come up with. But yeah, she's coming along. It's a drastic change to what it was a little bit ago. Oh, fingers crossed. I'm not over my head. Just keep on keeping on. Oh yeah, also I'm on my last Sawzall blade, and I think I've got one more cutoff wheel left. So I'll have to restock on stuff before I keep cutting more things. And then just for fun, I measured the floor over here from this pinch seam to where I cut it off is 61 inches, I think. 61 and a half. I don't know. And I didn't notice it till recently. This seam is what I've been measuring off of here. It is not straight up and down. It kind of curves back a touch. So I've been measuring from right here. Sorry, right here. Any measurements I take, I go that way, or, you know, whatever. But, yeah. Oh, I remember where I was going with this. So this body trim rocker panel thing, there's the seam right there, and it goes all the way to where the front fender meets up right here. Just so happens that from this right here, that comes under here and boom, lines up with that, and then it goes back there. That is 61 or 61 and a half. I don't know. Anyway, that's the length of that. So when I get under here, what I'm going to have to do is trim off some of this so that floor fits underneath. That floor right there fits right there. But I'll probably figure out how I'm going to trim that a little bit there, and I got to trim like that thing. I got to trim that off right there so it's flat, and then I got to take a little fat off the sides right here for the width of this to slip in there. So yeah, coming along surely but slowly. All right, onward and upward. Okay. So I think I'm going to call it the night. Call it a night. You guys saw what I got left of the front end. And the inside, front of the car. Started doing some trimming over here. Trim that off. Cut that down. I've got a donor Durango. that I think I'm going to cut the door threshold out, and then I'll patch it in over this so it looks better, and then nobody's going to see it because there's going to be a body sitting on it, but it'll look better and be better. So yeah, one thing, oh yeah, I was going to say, one thing everybody does when they do these projects is they build a little skeleton brace thing in here. It goes from that side over to this side, and goes from that side to this side, or you know, makes blah 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 blah. I didn't do that. I'm just winging it. Door shut's nice still, so I've done enough measuring that I think I'll be able to get it back in place when it's done. So yeah. So thanks for watching. I'm going to keep on keeping on this. I've got a couple other projects that I might throw in here and there, like I've been doing. But yeah, I'll work on this as time allows, and I've got some other stuff I got to work on too. And so yeah, like, subscribe, comment, tell your friends. Yeah, leave a comment. If you tell me, hey, you're doing this wrong, bonehead, okay, maybe I'll listen, maybe I won't, we'll see. But thanks for watching.